Hello and welcome back. I'm Kevin J. N. Hughes, author of The Undamned, soon to be released. So, let's see. Yesterday, I told you guys about my woman in white. So watch yesterday's video or listen to yesterday's video if you want to know that story. Today, I want to talk to you guys about the haunted house that I lived in when my family first moved from Chicago. So you can probably tell by my voice, I'm from Chicago, but I live in Vancouver, Washington, and I have lived in Vancouver, Washington most of my life. But when we first moved, we actually lived in an apartment. I don't really remember the apartment we lived in because I was a little too young to remember it. I do remember that I had a friend who lived in the apartment. Either immediately downstairs from ours or adjacent to ours. I don't really remember where he lived, but he was a really nice kid. Um, so good times were had by us, and my mom has a picture of a Halloween costume that I wore when we lived in that apartment. But like I said, I was pretty young, so I don't really remember. But I do remember very well the first house that we lived in when after we had moved here. So we lived in the apartment for a little while, then we moved into a house, and this house was on 90th Street in Vancouver or 90th Avenue. I don't know. Um, I just remember that we called it the house on 90th. It was on a cul-de-sac kind of thing. And I really remember that house. There's a couple things that I really remember about it more than anything else. The first thing I really remember about the house on 90th is this parrot, this massive kind of poster of a parrot that we hung in the window in the front of the house. So if you were driving by the house, you would just see this massive bright red parrot. Um, the other thing that I remember about that house, though, is that it was haunted. And when I was very young, I used to have these, I thought they were dreams. Um, but the thing is that when I look back, I don't think they were dreams because I wasn't asleep yet when this would happen. So basically, I would be falling asleep and I would look and my door would open and this bald, very pale man with deep, kind of sunken eyes and just a mean mug on his face, a bald, clean-shaven man would appear in the doorway and just glare at me. And I know that doesn't sound that scary, but I always felt very threatened by this man. And uh, I for art class one day when I was a young boy, I actually tried to draw a picture of this man who would come into my room, and a lot of the moms who saw this picture, because for our art class, we would hang the pictures for a little while, and some of the moms who saw it thought that I had drawn like a Grim Reaper or something. But no, he was just bald and clean shaven and very gaunt. And just he would glare at me, just kind of like this, just like glaring at me, just you know, with hate. I can't really mimic it because I'm not a very angry person. I'm a pretty mellow guy. So I can't really mimic what he would do. Dude, just glare at me, like, just really staring into my room, just glaring, mean mugging me. Um, and this would happen not every night, but frequently enough that it was very unsettling for me. And then a couple years went by, we moved, and we actually moved into this 1920s house. that needed lots of work, but for whatever reason wasn't haunted. Um, so the house that I actually grew up in, or did most of my growing up in, was a very old house, a very creaky house, but not a haunted house. But the first house that I lived in Vancouver was haunted. It was very creepy. Um, now, I do think, so I don't think that this thing followed me from that house per se, but I do think that there was one time where it may have tried to find me. And I say that because one day I was asleep and I had this dream where I looked in the dream I woke up and my window was open and I sort of sat up in bed and looked and my friend Nathaniel um who was a young man that I went to school with. um I'm calling him Nathaniel for the sake of the story, was standing in the doorway. And now you have to understand, Nathaniel was black, and um, and that's going to be relevant in a second. That's why I bring it up. But Nathaniel was standing in the doorway, and he said, "Kevin, let me in." So I kind of looked in the doorway and said, "Nathaniel, what are you talking about? What do you mean, let me in? You're already in my house." And he's like, "No, I need you to let me in." And I said, "I don't know what you're talking about." And he's got that same like mean mug look, and he was like, "You better let me in." And I started to catch on, like there's something wrong here. This doesn't seem like my friend Nathan. So I said, "Nathan, um, this doesn't seem right." And he got angry. But when he got angry, his face changed and he didn't have hair anymore. And he started to get gaunt and his skin started to turn really pale and started to lighten. And I mean like it was like Beyonce lightening, like how when you see old pictures of Beyonce, she had dark skin and now she has really light skin. It was like that. It was just like, or maybe even Michael Jackson, just like straight up turning white, and all of a sudden he really looked like this guy, this pale man that used to come and visit me in the night and try and mean mug me. So and so I started praying in the dream. I started praying the Our Father, and then this man who now looked nothing like Nathaniel and looked exactly like the entity that would visit me in the night started screaming and then disappeared, and I shot awake. Truly awake this time. I shot awake, sitting up, and I looked around, and when I looked around, I realized that my bedroom door in real life had opened and was in fact sitting open, and I could see into the hallway. There was nobody there in real life, but it was open. So that is that's my second story from my own paranormal experiences. I can share more stories if you guys want me to. Please like this video. Please comment on it with your favorite ghost stories. Um, and please let me know in the comments, have you ever been visited in the night by some kind of creepy entity? Do you have a Hat Man experience like some people have? Do you have a shadow person? Do you have sleep paralysis? I want to know, what have you guys experienced creepy in the night when you're trying to sleep? Let me know in the comments, and be sure to follow or subscribe so that you can get all the updates to the goings on here and what happens with the publishing of The Undamned. Thank you very much. God bless you guys. Bye bye.